Another game, the last two of the day, the first day overall, and it's been hot action so far.
Yeah, it's been a really, really interesting day. I think when you look at all these different players, we clearly have had one team that's decided, they figured out the competition a bit quicker than the others, but there are still so many games left to play.
Absolutely. This is all about now making some repeat moves, just ending off the day as strong as you started. And if you were shaky, making sure that you grab the reins and settle on somewhere, at least between the top 10 and 20. To have a nice bounce back tomorrow. Adris, Kanata have had a little bit of trouble so far when it comes to day number one, but the day's not over just yet.
Yeah, of course, right? These last couple of games, typically you see some switch-ups here in these last couple of games. Sometimes it can be a bit hectic in their manner, and I don't think I would mind that, to be fair. You know, it's nice to have some chaos at times, so we'll see who can provide that.
Now, the early game definitely been so much more so rigid. Sparse places around the map getting more and more populated as people try to make last-minute adjustments to really maximize the amount of points that they can have. Last look from what we saw, Kanata Aegis looking slightly stressed before the game started. But they'll be right back in it right now.
Understandably, right? It's not been the best of days for them. Sitting way down there in the leaderboard, so I'm sure they'll try to use these last couple of games to get themselves back into the swing of things. Bad sniper in Xweeze. You've seen him in a bunch of different fights all across the board today. Definitely a team who has been showing off their prowess with their mouses, right? Like with their mice. Mice. Aim's been on point is the point I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
I've seen some crazy shots from them.
And it's side by side with so many people actually challenging duos next to them. Two aim duels for other players that are rotating, and they'll beat every team around them every single time. Arrow as well is just getting better and better, I feel like, at this close range fighting business. The decision making as well in every single fight. Bully and Muzz, Deja Vu, leaving right beside Clicks, and this one does not go good for either team, I feel like. Just so much time wasted here.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I got to tune into Clicks' stream and figure out, you know, what the situation was when it comes to strategy and what they're calling, because it hasn't quite materialized into the standings, right, where they've been sat at. Like you said, doesn't seem to be benefiting either team. I guess the main thing maybe to switch up would just be how they approach this fight earlier on, right? Maybe they decide, actually, look, one of us is going to have to suffer here, rather than, you know, sort of tiptoeing around each other over at Steamy Springs.
But the toes shall tip, because neither duo wants to dip.
Bars right there.
Yeah.
One nice thing we've seen, I think we've had some fair share of surprises today. One of those things that has been a constant that people were expecting were Ziandi and Rescard, right? A lot of players in the community were saying, look, those guys are going to be good, and they have been good, sitting in that top 5, 4th place so far. One of the few teams to break 700 points. I think they've put on a masterclass in just exactly how you should be looking to play a lot of these games.
They're slightly uninterruptible almost too, because like it's not like they're doing a game style that requires a certain type of POI or a certain type of weapon overall. These guys are just playing very consistently and adapting really well to every single zone on the map. Vino Queasy 2, day one actually living up to so many people's expectations. It's a little bit of a surprise, because usually it takes them maybe a day or two to get going. But of that hot win, they're just slightly behind, I guess significantly behind Kemi and Japko, but you never know what happens just in the change of one game. Mu as well. I mean, a surprise for a bunch of players to see him just start to pop off a bit more and you know, step up in certain fights and situations to bail his team out of dodge. He'll be looking good, but past that too, Pars and Baka, I feel like this is the most scrappy duo to make it this high up on the boards. I feel like one of them is always down at certain points. Off spawn, they're getting a little bit interrupted. Still looking good all the way in top 5.
Yeah, they're making it work. I think these two have shown in high pressure environments that they, you know, can be successful, right? You look at Intence's Invitational last year, a bit of a surprise performance from them here so far today. Again, a lot of people didn't have them in their top 5s, but these guys have, you know, been definitely a top 5 worthy team. And like you say, it can be a bit scrappy at times, but I think that just goes to show these guys are very instinctive and very talented, and that they're always going to sort of make it deep into a game and make solo clutches happen.
Tomo block on Mixon as well, just playing patient, and no one's near them at all in zone. Arrow sub going in for an all-in once more, but we know how lethal Zemi and Npen have been today.
Yeah, they've sort of started off the day really, really hot and cooled off a bit at times, but I think overall, we know what these guys can do.
Absolutely.
At any given moment, they like can just absolutely unload on people, and that seems to be what's happening here. Arrow caught in the crossfire, and he's gonna be Npen's first victim of the day. Npen's really been a standout, especially right where he just activates on anyone in sight.
Just very good at reading pressure overall, seeing where the weak spots are for a bunch of teams around him. They're like 2-2v1 today in like the last 2 circles. It's just way too crazy. Some surprises, Acorn Epic well, although high up in the leaderboards, it's like what happens after that one game you win? Where is the dominance? Where is the follow-up? Where's the constriction for everyone else around you? Maybe just playing consistently, waiting, and not trying to burn out over the 3 days.
Yeah, no, I think they've been good. I think, you know, it was an interesting matchup. Obviously, they won that first game, and you always look at the team that wins the first game and you go, ooh, is it going to be like you're just going to keep doing this, or are you going to slow down? And you know, they haven't got another repeat win. They've definitely been a fixture in today's games. And like you say, staying rather consistent. And of course, there are still 2 more games for them to maybe get that, you know, other win. So, I won't count them out yet.
We're just 2/3 of the way done. Everyone just kind of feeling out the field around them. No one really wants to get into a fight here. And we don't see many duos actually go down from these types of positions or at this point so far in the game. Unless they're super baited by loot. So switch up from Sizzlucky and Degen as they're done from Fatal Fields in the south side. They're here up now in the snow up north.
Yeah, I think what we've seen is a lot of movement sort of in those extremities. Players taking their time there, not being forced by the zone. Of course, you see pulling a bit towards the south. But again, it's sort of just not been a trigger for people to go, okay, we go get to zone. Like, people are very comfortable chilling in the storm.
Now that's been a definitive pattern the entire day. Sunny Tayson is what they're doing really enough. I feel like first day, bit of a stinker.
Hey man, it's just the theme.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at Tayson, like zero build's not his mode. You know, I speak to him a lot about it, and he's just, yeah, like I just haven't quite figured out zero build. It's not necessarily the game mode for me. And that doesn't mean it's fully over, right? I think you look at some of his peers towards the top of the leaderboards, the likes of Vino and Queasy, they very much were like that, you know, in the previous competitions, and they've started to get a grip on things.
It's true.
And like to hope that Tayson will too.
Just a little matter of time in this tournament, 3 days long.
He's got time.
He's a trooper.
He's got plenty of time to figure things out, right?
Yeah.
But they do have a lot to figure out because, again, not even in the top 20, like, you know, you expect to see the likes of Tayson and City way up there. And if you're Seti especially, watching, you know, your teammate Cammy all the way up there, former zero build teammate, but still current build teammate, you're seeing him dominate, you're thinking, hold on a minute, I'm not the problem here, you know, I'm not the problem in the duo, so I gotta step it up.
Never want to really be outshined. That is facts. At the same time, these players will just point out exactly where you are. So you cannot help but be shined on, basically, at least from a gameplay perspective. And ZenRF will get so much more loot available. They always have this little outpost that turns into pressure, that turns into free elims, that turns into free space towards the end game. And everyone has just nice space on the stage too. Wonderful setup here in Riyadh.
Yeah, of course. Players ain't getting to explore as much as we are, right? They just got to sit at their desk and get to working. We get to enjoy it for sure. And Ben and Zemi picked up 2 already so far this game, and it's interesting, right, when you're looking at all the players and how many different limbs people have got. Certain players going for a much more aggressive approach. I think confidence is always key, and understanding timings for fights is a big deal in this mode in comparison. And so you really have to be cerebral on that front. You look at the team all the way at the top and they've got like double the next teams, and you're like, okay. These guys are clearly onto something. Rizandi and Refsguard,
he knows.
They're onto something. They have found Parza and Baka, who were very ambitiously hiding there in the shrubs there, and unfortunately get punished for it.
And what a big reward for ZND Refsguard. Upgrades all around if they do want to take him, but so much ammunition.
Yeah, and that's really nice because like Paz and Baka were like the team right beneath them in the standings, right? Trying to push up into the 700-point range, and they just shoved them back down like, nope, nope, nope. Stay away.
Yeah, not going to be even a chance for them. XP's bat sniper right above. Those two teams always rotating towards the same sides. Sharing in pressure and damage, but won't be seen for now. Hero Fahad down. His bad sniper can't really be stopped once he starts. Vortex just takes out Pump as well.
Yeah, Trashy and Pump both went down in the feed, and that's like the top 3 team. 3rd place so far in the day. And earlier when I said, look, you can expect to see them doing well, I'd meant it, right? And they are truly a duo with a lot of chemistry. But here in Game 5, they fall relatively early, right? Still 40 teams out of the 44 are up. These games have been really, really stacked. Nobody really taking any sort of all-out fights. So to go down early, it's painful. It's a long wait.
That's true, sitting beside everyone else that's playing as well. The psychological damage, huge. These guys showing Rocky. Okay, nice Cybertron cannon. Both players rocking one. Always the one in the back usually that ends up shooting it, right? But Vortexers, although got a few elims in the storm, can see what he's doing and what he's up to. He's not going to be able to really push forward and get too much placement in this game. Axe Force is down.
I love how Vortex is like at no moment, like he just didn't even stop. Like,
sorry, bro.
Axe Force gets knocked and he doesn't even like stop to look back and like check and like, oh, can't I? He just keeps running. Keeps running.
Late gliders as well. We were just watching NM7. Goes down as it was Vert just holding them overall. Right close to the zone. You have to be so careful. So many people just straggling around edge zone. They have no reason to even move. You have a wrong timing. You choose one wrong lane and you're down and out. For XWee's bad sniper, I mean, this game has to be the one where it's kind of a step better than the rest of the competition. They want to be inside that top 5. I think that's their next goal. Currently 9th, 10th place right now. But to do that, top 5, few eliminations under their belt, they can't really go down in that 6th zone, which I feel like has been the pattern so far for that duo.
Yeah, they just have to keep doing what they've done for the most part. I think their formula to getting deep in games is working.
Explosions and shockwave nades. This is just a messy, prolonged fight. That's not stopping. 3rd party in 2.
Oh, duh.
Few ghost shots, but Trippin's here now, and he's definitely known.
I think at a certain point you go, hold on a minute here. There's some shenanigans going on, and I don't want to get involved in some shenanigans. And between Blaster, Noah, Yomzo, and Paper, it seems like a messy one. And the good thing for Trippin and Conti is that, you know, these guys are going to have to get out of the zone eventually, and they'll be in a decent position to tag them while they look to get in. But these guys have so much shields and HP to play with. They can stay in the zone for a long, long time. Yomzo very familiar with this spot here, the Spire. We know every single place he can go to get some spare HP.
He's got options. And it's just day 1. A lot of these players will never be running out of options anytime soon. So many different ways to play the game. Savage also is waiting to see exactly what to do next. You know about the teams beside him. Sees so much pressure on the right. The flare gun sees those players just go left and rotate.
Yeah, it's interesting, Mr. Savage, because I saw him in the hallway a couple games ago, and he was like, yeah, it's not going too good. But like, they're just outside the top 10. Like, they're in like 12th, you know? So if things start getting better, which you'd like to hope they would over the course of, you know, the next 14 or so games, like, there's a good chance we see these guys push into the top 10.
He's probably assuming there's like 1 or 2 teams who are already here. They're already ahead of him, and they might have a chance to stay. Could see the perfectionist inside. XF dubs towards the top. Sons and Alex on the left. Frenzy Fields type endgame is always just so tough to watch for some of the players. So much flat land, not much really to hide behind, especially if you push like middle left. It'll go a few inches down though instead. Might be hanging right off the map, who knows? Boat rotation is now in play. We've seen a couple of them utilized overall, but so many people contested over at that north side, Rift Island. Gotta choose exactly what you want to leave. Too early, you get focused. Too late, you get lost in the sauce. Can't even beam.
Yeah, and you see these guys, their choice when it comes to moving is to rotate all the way down with that vehicle, using the river, and they'll pop outside in that sort of eastern area. And again, just using these ridges to rotate, nobody really has much vision of them. You need to be careful. Queasy and Venom are perched up on that hill. Yeah, they'll start taking shots at that vehicle. You got to keep it hidden if you want to keep it in the game. And now they're trying to break the tree to push them out of the way. Really nicely done from Queasy and Vino. And even more trouble on the horizon for Eom's own paper is there's teams rotating in from that eastern storm area. Frets and Booga using their cannon on towards Anas and Pink. And these guys have been very good today. And in these last couple of games is really their chance to start to keep them close, or at least in a position where they could maybe catch up to Cammy and Jack Po. But with Anas going down there, no real hope of saving him. Yeah,
that's just disrespectful.
Look at Pink as well. He's trying to run out of the way, but so many people are going to be looking at him, barely getting away.
White landing it in completely. Threats. Searching every single bush. Does not want him to get away for free. But they've just dipped so far into enemy territory. Cybertron Cannon, so much damage. Double bunker down. Kanada Agers living for now. Kanada might be knocked overall. Nope. His HP's fine. And another Cybertron does not actually connect overall. Looks fine.
Surprise, surprise, Jackpo in the feed, right? You know exactly what these guys are up to. Always an ever-present force when it comes to taking fights here in this game. Boogan Frets. I think we wanted to see them maybe imprint themselves in the lobby a bit more. Maybe the time is now for them. Epic Well and Acorn silenced here in this game. You can see all across the board now, really, as things start to get so tight. So many different players falling.
Just about surviving, staying alive, but this is one of those moments where you can't even really shoot. If your cover gets blown right now, there's nowhere to hide. These streams are just so flimsy, and angles don't exist when the Cybertron Cannon isn't playing in charge. A lot of people had zero ammunition for him too. The recharge over time, I mean, the biggest thing right now is just capitalizing as much as you can. Everyone's just shooting these cannons as fast as possible. And Alex, what a god loadout for this end game. Test checking a bunker towards the right. Someone in there? They committed all the way to the water. Tax maybe an unwanted passenger. He's gonna get kicked out of that ride fast.
Shit, there was a lot of people in there. Like a taxi service going on or something. Unfortunately, they delivered tax right back to the lobby. Ziandi and refs still in this game, and a relatively big rotation to make. But not one that will be impossible. You can start to see them white landing their way towards zone. Andalex and Nikov will probably have to do a very similar thing here. Just stay by the white line, look for some cover, duck and weave, and you've got to be careful because if you get pushed out into the open, you'll go down just like Puka did there. Frets now as well, finding himself in a world of trouble, all out in the open.
Jabko Kami, another endgame. And the weapons that they have, they're making this look like another one that they can have under their belt. Is a very successful game. Second, first, fifth overall on the day. And as a result, just a natural lead forming Oh, if there was a charge in that cannon, that would be disaster for Nikov. Already is for Bevies. They can just go close and personal. They don't need cannons, they got guns.
It doesn't make sense. Every single team we look at, somebody looks shambles. They look like they're suffering, running out of space, congested. These guys, every single time, it looks like they're playing a whole different game. Everything looks easy. No one's really bothering them. They're controlling every single aspect of this lobby. And it just goes to show how effective they've been and why they're sitting all the way up there in the standings.
They want to keep that lead pushing.
Wow.
Want to keep going forward. Still finding damage way back in the storm.
How many bunkers been combined?
Wow.
It's a whole separate building. And they're going to pick up even more, moving further and further into the zone.
I mean, they're picking up big targets too that are really good at clutching and giving them trouble later in the game. Ziandi gone, so many other duels around him. Ooh. That spawn gone ages with a surprise though. Beat from the backside, big shot. Japco denies it. Another few points to him. This is huge.
Japco has been absolutely unbelievable. Every given opportunity to hit a shot, he does it. And is he going to use the cannon now to finish the deal? He thought Queasy and Venom were there. They had moved. And so he's going to have to wait for a recharge and go again.
Perfect time for a pit stop too, as everyone else is flying in the air, so the focus isn't even on them at all. Cammy on the one side, right above him a few more players. Gentle, he's camoed in the tree though. Huge. Nice shot on the other side. It's Squeezy stopping Japco. Vino now with him. Up in the air is Cammy. The gun not reloaded for Vino. That could have been huge.
They might know, they might realize Gentle gets spotted. That was the last thing he was expecting. Are they going to chop out the tree? They will. They know he's in there. 4 damage is going to be his doom potentially. Uses a shockwave to get out of the way, but flows his way all the way into another team, into another tree. It's Fluger. It's Opto right in front of him, and he's just going to try to sneak around, but they know it's there. They're going to try follow his tracks. They know exactly who they need to worry about. It's him behind, but even then, they still can't stop him. Cammy picks up another one. The help of Queasy in the distance, and then a 1v2 now against Queasy and Vino. Can Cammy do the unthinkable? Knocks one into the other way, but it's going to be Queasy to close things out. Queasy and Veno pick up a win.
That is just huge for the team that rocked in second overall, versing the one who's in first. Do they usurp the title is the question. That was second versus first overall on the day. Thing is, the value for Cammy and Japco, every fight that was going on, they had a stake in. They were just taxing players over and over, splitting duels apart. 5 points here, 5 points there. Queasy Vino win the game, but we have about 200 points of elims.
It's ridiculous. Cammy and Jackpro are on a whole nother level because, like you say, Queasy and Vino just played a phenomenal game. So many different eliminations, but it's like when you finish that game and the final elim is up against Cammy, you're thinking, hold on a minute, this is the guy we're trying to beat. We can't be fighting him in the final 1v1. Like, it can't be him that we're fighting, because otherwise we're not catching up. We're just carrying along. It is such a hard competition with how good these Polish players have been. But again, props to Queasy and Vino for playing as good as they did that game.
Absolutely. Queasy and Vino, fundamentals versus the format players of Cammy and Japco. Just so good at positioning themselves by her duos. And these guys, I mean, you talk about masterclass, they're showing it today.
Look, Vino said earlier in the day, I'm starting to figure out zero build. That is a scary, scary prospect for everybody else. This guy is hungry for a big, big win. On LAN, he had his big moment last year and it slipped away from him. Given another chance, he's gonna really, really go for it.
And this is just the first.